Knock, 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 knock. Hey there, folks. This is Jacques Kepner here on Jacques Talks on KFUG 101.1 FM in Crescent City, Brookings, Klamath, and beyond. We're also being carried by KZZH 96.7 in Humboldt, so welcome all of you down south of us a bit a ways. I want you to reach out to me. Take your pen and paper now because we got a great guest with us. She's going to be giving us lots of information, but take that pen right now, and for the first time, I'll repeat it again, write down my phone number. Yes, I'm passing out my phone number so that people can contact me or text me and tell me about an interesting character in your world, someone that deserves and would love to have this opportunity on this live show, Jacques Talks, every Wednesday between 1 and 2 p.m. And that phone number is 415-608-1063. Horrible number, just got it recently, but that's what it is. It's 415-608-1063, and I'm Jacques. You could text me. The reason why I'm giving you my phone number versus the Facebook is because a lot of people I always say just reach out and friend me. Well, I'm getting a lot of friend requests from rather unscrupulous people. I'm not sure who it is and what they are. And when I look up their history, they show no history. They show no relevance, where they're from, what they're doing. And I just get leery of that, and I don't need to be scammed. None of us do. And so I've stepped away from that platform, although if you were somehow able to send me a message of a thumbs up or something like that, a smiley face, maybe I would friend you. But again, at this time, reach out to me at 415-608-1063, and you may find yourself or your friend or another character in our community on this very show sitting across from me in this booth, having these great conversations that we've been doing now for coming up a couple of years on KFUG. Thanks so much to KFUG. And all you listeners out there who are now tuned in, I want to just throw a quick shout out to Kelly. Hey, Kelly, what's going on? And Chris and Sherry, Dr. Sherry, and the usual culprits in the Midwest, Darwin and Peggy. And, hey, I think even Rick is listening, and Crystal. So welcome aboard, Vera. How are you? Hope you're doing good. And Jaden and Jared and Grant. Hello, hello, hello. Who else am I forgetting? So many people. I appreciate you listening in on a regular basis. Now, you can hear these shows by going to YouTube, KFUG Radio, Jacques Talks, JACQUES, and you will find those shows listed about every 2 or 3 weeks. They get updated. And we will have those so you can listen in at a later date and a later time at your leisure. All right, we have a guest, a returning guest, who's been on my show multiple times here, and with Doc and Jacques up in the KCIW, up in sister community radio station in Brookings, has been on their show. And she is a dynamo. She is a super, super special lady that everybody likes being around. She's extremely popular, particularly these days. She's become a writer and has put her heart and soul into writing. I wanted to say that she's got a quick prologue here that I just wanted to run off that she gave me to pass on to you. But religion is supposed to provide the ultimate comfort. But sadly, it can sometimes inflict shame, guilt, pain, and rejection, leaving people hungering for spiritual nourishment. A book called Healing Religious Stories, let's back that up. Healing Religious Hurts is stories and tips to find love and peace, and it's by Elizabeth Ann Atkins and our own in the studio, Joanie Lindenmeyer, which will gently guide you on a journey through healing and learning how to overcome religious trauma and discovering love and peace within yourself. Now, this is a collection of poignant contributions from individuals who have navigated the stream of disappointment and scandal within the church and other religious communities and themselves, whereas this book empowers readers to embark on their own journey toward that inner peace and self-acceptance. The book features contributions written by LGBTQ plus people about how they and their allies can find spiritual peace as well as faith community that embraces the celebrates those who they are celibates. Healing, it is now published in hardcover, paperback, and ebooks, and it will be out October 1st, 2024. You need to order your copies now. We'll get to that and how you can do that. My prologue for Joanie in the studio with us here today is simply this. From cuneiform tablets to touchscreens, the written word has been humanity's enduring legacy. We began by etching our stories into clay and stone and preserving fleeting thoughts for all eternity. As we journey through time, we can see how writing evolved from illuminated manuscripts painstakingly crafted by monks to the revolutionary printing press that democratized knowledge. Each era has had its own innovations, its own voices crying out to be heard through the ages, but today we find ourselves in a new renaissance of the written word. Digital platforms have transformed not just how we write, but think about this, how we actually communicate and think as a community, as a society. Yet amidst all this technological whirlwind, the essence of writing remains largely unchanged. Writers are chroniclers of human experience. They have comforted us in our darkest hours, and they've celebrated our greatest triumphs. Today on Jacques Talks, I have the privilege of speaking with Joanie Lindenmeyer, a local luminary whose words have resonated far beyond the shores of Crescent City in Brookings, Oregon, where she lives. Enough of this verbiage. Dear listeners, please welcome Joanie Lindenmeyer to Jacques Talks here on KFUG. Hey, Joanie, so good to see and hear you.
Hey there, Jacques. Oh, very good to see you too. Right. And thank you once again, and all the listeners out there. Thank you. This is my third time with Jacques in the studio here, and I know that we were going to roll with it, and hopefully the words that I speak will be also the words that have been written that will inspire and encourage, and let you feel free to share your story as need be. And so let's get into it today,
let's get
Jacques.
into it. So we've covered a lot of territory in your past when you've been on the show. I know Sebastian has interviewed you at other times. So you're kind of a well-known dignitary of sorts here on the KFUG and at the KCIW studio. We have talked about your past and how you got into a relationship with Carol, your love of your life, for many, many, many years as a nun and a sister, and your travels about town and about the state and about the country, and in the trials and tribulations you had as far as coming out as in the LGBTQ community when you're about the same age as I am. I mean, you're younger than I am, but I'm in my mid-60s. And so you had that transition period of the 60s, the 70s, and 80s where it was really awkward, I'm sure.
Yes, it was.
And now here we are, find ourselves in 2024, which today's date, by the way, is the 24th of August, 2024. I should have said that earlier. Here you find yourself completely out. And you are traveling about, and you had one blockbuster book by all I mean, and we with Gigi and I still read it. Yeah, None Better, right? None Better.
Amazing.
N-U-N.
Yeah,
N-U-N
top
is still
24 on Amazon ebooks 4 months in a row.
Wow.
Who could have imagined?
Who could imagine, right?
Who could have imagined?
Now, real quickly, you do have roots here. So you were a teacher at Del Norte High School in Crescent City. So you have roots for how long were you a teacher there?
25 years there. 2 years at Rural Human Services here in Crescent City. So that's 27 years right here in Del Norte County, Crescent
City. You were
physical ed and health, and did some coaching.
Wow. And so you had that grounding here to this area, to our region, this Pacific Northwest, whatever you want to call it, northernmost California, Southern Oregon, whatnot. You are here. You're here to stay. You've been here a long time. You live in Brookings now. You have been celebrating this None Better book for quite a while. We've talked about it. It's been on our radar for a year and a half. And we have got a copy at the house. Gigi and I read it all the time. We pick it up whenever we feel like we want to do something different. I'll look up on the bookshelf and go, there's that colorful book. Let's pull it down.
Bright pink with the two nuns on the cover.
Two nuns on the front cover.
The big rainbow on the back.
All right, so let's bring it up to speed quick. Where are we now? What is the latest book you're working on? I just said it, Healing Religious Hurts.
Yes.
Right? And that comes out
October 1st is the launch date at the Wild River Pizza. We are going to have a humdinger of a celebration in Brookings from 4 o'clock to 6 o'clock. That means I've written 3 books in 2 years.
Okay, back it up. What are the other books? We know None Better.
Yes, and then Joyously Free.
Joyously Free.
Stories and tips to live your truth as people, parents, and allies, which is literally about living your truth. Truth.
Right.
And then Healing Religious Hurts, which is the brand new one coming out, will just be another buster of a book because it deals with what I call the 3 C's. It's confidence, courage, and collaboration.
Wow.
And it's a continuation of how Carol and I lived our life. And I'm just so proud once again, just like in Joyously Free, to have a team of contributing writers from across America. And I would love to give a shout out to the ones that are local.
Give it a yell. This is
my
cool.
gosh.
Okay, everybody, get ready here because you're going to hear your name spoken by the master herself.
You
Joanie,
bet.
what are their names?
Okay, for the Joyously Free book, there was Eve DeRusha, Diane and Bob Weir, Marquez Simpson, Sally Roy, Kathy and Doris, Kennette Babb, Will Jaster, Bernie Lindley. Now for the brand new book, Healing Religious Hurts, we have Deborah Randall Kravitz, Tay Ryan, Michael Irby, Jill Prioreschi, Michael Hensley, and Vivian Ashton. And then we have a known national speaker, theologian, Jesuit priest, Father James Martin, who is the #1 United States priest that works along with Pope Francis on LGBTQ issues.
Wow.
And so Father James has also written a short essay in the book. So all of these contributors are part of a team expressing their beliefs, their thoughts, their feelings.
Right.
Many of it is very, very raw. It's been a learning and a growing for them, which has been so beautiful. And I am just so proud of them, Jacques, so proud of them to be able to write it knowing it's in print forever and that it will circle the globe wherever it needs to go.
Yeah.
I'm just so proud of them.
Well, it helps with a great mover of rocks, such as yourself. For those of you that don't know, you might want to friend Joanie just to follow her on Facebook, Joanie Lindenmeyer, Lindenmeyer. And you could find her and friend her, and then you can find out where she's constantly traveling. We're a bit envious, Doctor and I. Doctor says, when am I going to get to retire? Go enjoy these places that you're going. You're traveling everywhere.
Right. 165 days last year after None Better.
Wow.
And then I don't know how many this year, but it's also the local community is what I really, really love.
Right on.
So I'm in cahoots with Deja Hartwick at the new bakery in town, hoping that we can do a book event there.
The Seaquake, or the Seafront.
At the Seafront, yes.
Here in Crest City.
But for October 1st, that'll be at Wild River Pizza. And I invite everybody to come.
That's Daryl, I forgot Daryl's last name.
Miller.
Miller, yeah.
Yes,
Daryl's
Cody Miller's who I actually work with and deal with.
Okay.
Yeah, and then just a couple days later, I'll be heading over to Pascal Winery in Talent, Ashland area, where my publishers will be at that event as well.
Okay.
And that's just right before Ashland Pride, because that on October 3rd, we'll be at Pascal Winery from 5 to 7, celebrating the book. And again, all of our speakers or writers, I should say, will be there to also autograph books, shake hands, give hugs away, and talk about their experience of what it was like to be on a team to write in this book.
Right. Now, I know on the first book, None Better,
yes,
you always gave tribute to Carol.
Yes.
And she was a co-writer, even though Carol... how long ago did Carol pass?
2.5 years ago.
2.5 years ago. So the hurt is still there. The grief is still there, right?
Yes, it is.
Yeah.
But every day it's more joyful and more joyful.
Yeah. And Carol's there with you 100%.
And we don't get out of this world alive, according to my grandfather. And I think that's just a simple statement. We don't get out of this world alive.
100% of the doctors will tell you, you will not survive this life.
Exactly.
Okay.
Exactly. And that's part of the reason why I wrote, Jacques. I don't know if you know that. I wanted to leave a legacy about Carol, about me, and about our love relationship, that 40-year love commitment. And then I wanted to also leave a legacy in these next 2 books, The Joyously Free, How to Live Your Truth, and The Healing Religious Hurts. Because everywhere I went on the None Better tour, and this is amazing, probably 80% of the questions and comments were church, religion, spirituality based.
Wow.
The other 25% had to do with sexual identity and sexual orientation. And so often it was a combination of both of those. The pain, the hurt, the shame, the guilt that they felt because they were trying to be true to themselves, but their church disowned them, or their family disowned them, or they couldn't find their spiritual connection, or they couldn't find the love they wanted in their family.
Right.
And so then they seek other places and or nothing. And that's why these two books came to be.
It's a huge platform that you're standing on, one that is kind of new, and it must be exciting as can be, because you have seen the dark days of coming out of the closet to today's where everybody that feels that they should be out of the closet can step right up and shine in the light of the LGBTQ community and be accepted as they are.
Yep.
Everybody.
And not just accepted, but celebrated. Affirmed and celebrated.
Gotcha.
You know, because anybody can say, oh, this is me, or this is whatever my issues are, whether it's sexual identity or a health issue or whatever. You can always just come out and say that.
Right.
But then to be celebrated for who you are, not having somebody try to change you. That's the big thing. Feeling comfortable in your own skin, that self-love, coming out to yourself first, then being able to share that real true self with somebody else. And you have been awesome at that. From day one, when I met you at hospice, you have been all about being yourself, non-judgmental, absolutely loving, and knowing that joy will come after pain.
And it does, doesn't it?
Joy will come after pain.
We have a little preface to that, too, is that's right. For those of you that are suffering from the grief of the loss of a loved one, there is light at the other side of the mountain, at the other side of the hill. There is light there. It's waiting for you. You will bask in it. Sometimes it takes longer, but don't ever give up. Know that there is a brighter light there waiting for you to envelop you and embrace you in your new journey that you have without your loved one, right?
Exactly.
Found that true. Now,
and that has to do with my new tattoo. Did I show you my new tattoo?
Okay, I'm envious because I'm going to get my first tattoo
this
ever.
This is my first one ever. Oh, I was scared spitless, Jacques.
It's a pretty big tattoo.
Decision. It was a big thing.
Did you get it done in Ashland? Or?
I had it done in Medford with a Sweetwater Tattoo. John Steen is the artist, and he's been doing tattoos for 22 years. Okay. But I thought I would go small and start with one around my wrist.
Small? Come on.
Well, I started that way, and then as I started to draw it, I go, oh no, I want the cover of Joyously Free. I want all this color. And my favorite saying in the whole world, love always wins.
Love always wins. Amen.
I just so believe that, and that's what I have written on my forearm now in this black ink, and I have a rose from the Rose Garden from the None Better book.
It's not a small tattoo, just let me
No,
but it's on the inside of her forearm.
How would you say, 4 or 5 inches?
More than that.
More than that?
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
I'm going to say 5, 6 inches, 7 inches, and it's pretty wide. And it's colorful. And it's joyously free, right? I mean...
Exactly. And the Healing Religious Hurts, you can't quite see it right now. But I have angels and twinkles, like on the book cover for Healing Religious Hurts. All the sparkles of what I call joy or holiness or angels or spirits or whatever you call your God or higher power, your true self, are sprinkled in here as well.
Right on. It's a colorful tattoo. As a colorful lady that you are, you always advocate getting out there, wearing bright clothes, being super smile on your face, right? Every time we see you, everybody knows Joanie Lindenmeyer, including Darren Bradbury,
Darren and Marcy.
Hey, Darren, if you're listening. You're the one that tipped me off about this exuberant, this incredibly talented and bright, effusive lady that is Joanie Lindenmeyer. Okay, so you started out with just you writing the first book with the help of your two sisters.
Oh my gosh!
But this one now, you said this one is a collaboration with Elizabeth Ann Atkins.
Yes, co-authored with her.
Co-authored. So she felt a lot of the kinship, what you were been saying herself.
She did.
Same experiences, many of the same experiences.
She did. You know, and her story is really unique. She and her sister grew up with her mom and dad, and her dad was a Catholic priest back in Michigan, and he fell in love with their mom, and the mom was 19 years old and was the organist and pianist at the church where he was the pastor, 25 years age difference. Then we have the biracial element because mom was Italian and black, dad was white. And so back in the 60s, we have the biracial issue, we have an age issue, and we had a religion issue.
Yeah,
and so all of those things came to the forefront as Elizabeth and I have collaborated, and that's the key word, collaborated, with confidence and with courage. We shared with each other what was going on in all those things and where we think it's going to go.
Right. Was he excommunicated?
They were excommunicated.
Yeah.
They were excommunicated.
It's like the death sentence for whatever.
Yes, and that's a hurt. That's a pain. That's a hurt.
Yeah.
You know, and I start off this book with a list of probably 10 or 12 of the religious hurts I have felt since I was a child up until now.
Right.
And
your story, your original None Better, details all these little short stories about how those early days, and we've talked about the early days and what you were going through, and then coming out slowly, meeting Carol, developing that relationship, and then feeling true love for your first time in your life.
Yes.
Commend you on all these things, being able to
I bet you there
are
listeners out there right now, Jacques, that carry those questions or concerns inside of them.
Right.
Who am I in my sexual identity, my sexual orientation, and who am I with my church, religion, spirituality? Have they been, and I'm talking to you right now, listeners, have you been hurt? How do you deal with that? How do you cope with that? Do you let it go? Do you seek something else? What do you do about that? And this is I love these books, because they literally are, after we share our stories, they are the tips. What we recommend as a team, as Elizabeth Atkins, as myself, what are some things that you could do to be healthier, happier, and harmonious?
Right. And by learning from you and maybe some of the mistakes you made and whatnot, but learning more importantly the encouragement that you exhibit.
Right.
And
that's why I say the 3 C's. Because it takes courage.
I wrote it down. Confidence, courage, and
collaboration. And collaboration is talking about things, sharing them, feeling somebody's pain, walking in somebody else's moccasins. So whether a person goes to a mosque or a temple or a church or out to the redwood forest, that's their connection to hopefully something spiritual.
Right.
And I think you and I have talked about serendipitous moments.
Yes.
And how that happens. And I believe those are God moments.
Yeah.
I think they don't happen just... I think there's a bigger picture here.
Right. There's a
what do
bigger
you
picture.
think?
I absolutely do. When you get older, you start to realize you're looking back at things in life and going, wow, that was fundamental. I had to go through that test, though, in order to come to where I am today. So let's get this out right away, because we're going to get and change the direction of this conversation in just a little bit about getting some of the essence of what it is to become a writer, and you're a successful writer. But for now, let's get this out right now, and we'll come back to it. How do people contact you? What's the best way to contact Joanie Lindenmeyer?
The best way is Facebook.
Okay.
Or come to an event.
Which
that
you are
is the best way. And so if you are local, and I say within an hour and a half, come to the Wild River Pizza October 1st from 4 to 6. I have my books there. I autograph my books. I sell my books. We have conversation. We hang with a whole group of people. We had about 125, 150 people show up for None Better. I think it might even be double that for the Healing Religious Hurts, because we're celebrating 3 books in 2 years.
Right.
But when you come, I get to meet you. You get to meet me. We can hug. We can look eyeball to eyeball. You know. So the next best is Facebook.
Okay, wait a minute. Course. So it's Wild Rivers Pizza is the next big event going on. Wild Rivers Pizza is in Harbor, or right there in Brookings, just before you get into Brookings. It's right near the McVeigh's Shopping Center area.
Yep.
You can't
miss it. Across from Chevron gas station.
Across from Chevron gas station, up on the hill there a little bit. It's a huge place. It's a big pizza, very successful, very fun pizza parlor. And that's going to be on October 1st between 4 and 6 p.m. So we got about a month or
34 days.
34 days and counting.
Oh, my gosh.
And that's a great way to
it's
meet
like birthing
Joanie,
a baby.
having fun. Everybody gets get a cold drink and then have a piece of pizza. And meet.
We'll
the
have a
author.
raffle. It's going to be a party.
Okay, cool.
Cisco is going to be performing with his music and his singing. Cisco and Gary,
cool.
Live music.
I want to contribute for the raffle.
Oh, you betcha!
I want to do my singing telegram.
Awesome!
Offer one of those for your raffle.
All right,
okay.
Awesome. Thank you, Jacques.
Okay, so that's
and if you cannot make it to that.
Right.
And you're thinking, well, I live in a different area.
Is that a Saturday?
Maybe that's a Tuesday.
A Tuesday.
That's
okay.
a Tuesday.
Man.
And maybe you're thinking out there that you would like to host. I've done everything from book events, like Sue Hilton in Arcata hosted an event for myself. That was a really, really cool lunch brunch that we did.
Cool.
And so it could be 5, 10, 12 people from a book club or from a class or from a church group or whatever, and I'm willing to come for hour and a half
cool.
and meet an author. I had never met an author before. I had never been to a book event before. And so now I'm the one sort of running these and having a good time, making that happen. And then Pascal Winery is the next big event. So if you're over Pascal Winery in Talent, right on the border of Talent and Ashland, Oregon.
And Ashland,
Pascal Winery, and that's from 5 to 7, October 3rd. So these are the two large
Friday, right?
launches. That's a Thursday.
Thursday, yeah.
That's a Thursday.
All right. And that is right at Talent in Ashland.
Talent in Ashland. Pascal
Winery. October 3rd from...
And that one there, both my publishers will be there, as well as the book cover artist from Illumination Graphics, Deborah Perdue, who lives in Merlin, Oregon.
Cool.
So we will have Elizabeth there.
Okay, so those are 2 coming events. We got the Tuesday, October 1st at Wild Rivers Pizza in Harbor and Brookings, Oregon, and then we have Pascal Winery at Talent and Ashland 5 to 7 on Thursday, October 3rd. How do people get a hold of you? Is it best? What's your?
I'm just going to do my phone number.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay. Here we go. Yeah. It's 541-661-1755.
Okay. We have 541.
And give me a text before a phone call, please. Please give me a text first.
541-661-1755. I passed out your phone number to multiple people.
Awesome.
That have reached out to you and said you've always been right on the money, and they're so glad that they've met you. And
I've met many of your friends.
They're
delightful.
Cool. Everybody's happy.
And then the third option would be the website twosisterswriting.com.
TW0. Oh, TWO. Okay. Two Sisters.
Writing.com.
Okay.
And that is where my author page is. So you click on any of the books that I've written. There's going to be a whole bunch of books in there. Okay. Click on the Pink None Better, or the Wild and Multicolored Joyously Free, or the Purple and Gold Healing Religious Hurts. Click on any of those. You can read about the book. You can pre-order. You can see what they're all about. You have contact information on me. Right. And that way I don't have to run a website. I love that part of working with Two Sisters. They're a hybrid. Right. So I don't have to do all the work. They are a hybrid business, which is probably another topic.
You can find out that by going, we're going to repeat this one last time before the end of the show. So if you're looking for a pen now, then you'll find it later when I give that information. Again, it's Two Sisters, spelled out TWO, sisterswriting.com. Look for the author page. Look for some of the books that Joanie Lindenmeyer has written in cahoots with the Two Sisters. And boy, you got a lot on your plate. You bring enthusiasm. Everybody can just feel the enthusiasm. When you walk in a room, it's like, look, here comes a rainbow.
Oh, thank you.
Here comes a rainbow.
Here comes a burst.
Here comes a burst. Yeah, there we go. That's a good way to look at it.
I like a burst more than a rainbow.
There we go. Yeah. Okay, the burst is there. The burst is there. The burst of color, the enthusiastic response from an incredibly talented lady who's so honored to call you a friend.
Thank you.
And
I agree.
Relatively
Thank you,
new
Jacques.
friends. We met in a grief, and we left at a grief group. We met, right, in a grief group. We were just talking about that. Oh, that's for another day. All right, we are at the half-hour time here already. We are it's shocking how fast things go when you are having fun. You are tuned into KFUG 101.1 FM in Crescent City, California, and KZZH 96.7 FM in Humboldt, Eureka, Arcata. Thanks for those people. You can reach out to Jacques Kepner, JACQUES, Kepner, KEP as in Paul, NER. My phone number is 415-608-1063. Reach out to me if you know of a character or you are a character. You could also Facebook me on Facebook, which is Jacques Kepner, and reach out to me that way. I'd love to have you on the show and a future upcoming event here in the KFUG studio, which is a totally cool place. What would you? I
love the artwork
this
around
place
here.
Is almost like, I always tell people, it's like kind of like a Berkeley head shop.
Oh my gosh!
From the '60s, right? I mean, there are posters everywhere, and the other day, I think Amanda Doctor even had incense burning.
Is that right?
Like
awesome.
Patchouli. What do they call it? Patchouli. All right. Here's a couple jokes. I just got to say this one.
Okay.
I used to think that wine was bad for me, so I gave up thinking. I got a wine show later.
Oh, that's great.
All right, I'll stop right there.
You sure? Okay.
Get back to Joanie Lindenmeyer here in the KFUG studio, and let's get to some questions. I wanted to talk to you more about your history and all that kind of stuff.
Okay.
What it is that makes writing so special, and what made you a writer? Were you always a good writer? Were you a letter writer? Were you?
That's a great question. I love to write letters. I love to journal. I have journaled ever since I was a teenager. Started out just with a diary. And then
still have these diaries? Still got them?
I don't know where the teenage ones are, but some of my journals from my young adult life, and then especially when I entered the convent, that was a big part of my prayer life, was the journaling. And whether the journaling was actually words or drawings or sketches or lyrics to songs, because I love music, or little poems. But that was where my writing came from. My mother wrote beautiful letters. My father loved to write as well. So I think we as a family grew up with a written word, with leaving notes, with writing. Nowadays, that might be more like a quick text.
Yeah, maybe you're right. You know what? I agree. We're the same age, and it was, hey, back in the day, letter writing was a cherished and honored thing, and most people did it. I was forced to write my mother from college. She insisted. She'd send me stamps. Say, please send me a letter. Tell me how you. Even though it
all
wouldn't show up for a week.
Pre-internet, of course.
Yeah, all right, free of the internet, absolutely. We didn't even know what that meant. What inspired you, Joanie? What this burst that you have come upon in the past 3 years? Let's say.
There's another good question.
What inspired you to start writing? Me? Was it Carol's death and then moving past that, trying to get yourself busy? Or can you put your finger on it?
Yeah, let me put my finger on that one. Carol and I have always been told that we have so many hilarious stories that have happened in our life. Some were sad and turned to joy. Some were just flat out hilarious, like the javelina that appeared in our living room in a condo, or Carol swinging on a New York City pole, like a pole dance kind of thing. Or we're in New York City and I'm blessing my water with the holy water, and all of a sudden I've got a total wet T-shirt and my breasts, my boobs are exposed quite well at the church grounds. And all of these stories are just hilarious. And people said, "Oh my gosh, Joanie and Carol, you need to write them down." Well, we got a little binder out and put Joanie's and Carol's book.
Funny little
And we
stories.
started to fill in some of those stories. Then Carol had her massive stroke. That notebook went into the drawer in the kitchen. And then once she passed away 8 years later, I'm cleaning the house to make my house my own now without Carol. I find this notebook.
Wow.
I go to the prayer corner and I literally, sobbing my eyes out, Jacques, I just say, "Jesus, Carol, God, should I write this book?" And it was like, yes, go for it.
Wow.
I didn't hear those words, but I heard them in my heart.
Yeah.
Have you ever done that? You hear something in your heart?
Absolutely.
Yes, go for it.
We all
well,
do.
within a half an hour to an hour, my friend Dan calls and says, "Joanie, I want you to meet my good friend Catherine Greenspan, who's a publisher." My older sister calls and I tell her, "I'm going to write a book." And she starts designing the front cover of None Better.
Wow.
And the next thing you know, I'm having a Zoom with Elizabeth Atkins, and it all just sort of flowed into the right spot. And it was like a God thing for me, that I needed to share the stories. This is 5 months after Carol died.
Yeah.
And so it was part of my grief, but I didn't see it that way. I just thought, this is what I need to do.
Yeah.
This is what I need to do. And that's where it started.
And you went at it big time.
Absolutely.
Right?
And I wrote it in 5 months. And then a month to edit it. And then within 9 months, it's published. And the next thing you know, I'm speaking and I'm talking and I'm going around America, literally, to friends and family and to places about this incredible story.
Right.
And I've mailed it to the Pope. I've mailed it to bigwigs, political people. I've mailed it to Billie Jean King. I've mailed it to a ton of people. And because I was so excited about it. It's like there is no fear in who I am and what stories I've had happen in my life. And I hope if you're out there right now listening, get rid of fear. It's not real. Get rid of it. Just think of the possibilities and the probabilities of who and what you can become. And that's where this all came from, Jacques.
Easier to smile than frown. So it became a bigger thing than you ever thought it would, right? I mean, because you started out telling your story, but now suddenly it's not only just embraced by everybody and their mother and brother, but it's embraced by the LGBTQ big time in a big way, right?
Yes.
And that's opened up all the myriad of other doors that go in all directions.
Yes.
So it's a great, None Better. I suggest everybody, you can find it on Amazon, right?
Absolutely.
That's the best way to buy it.
TwoSistersWriting.com sells them the best in their bookstore.
Okay,
and I make a little bit more percentage on that.
Okay.
Amazon takes a 55% cut. Nothing against Amazon. But when I start traveling, and I did 18,000 miles last year, that's a lot of gas. That's a lot of money going output.
the best way to buy them directly from you, right?
Absolutely. And I carry them in my backpack, and I carry them in my trunk, and I carry them at my house.
Right on. And then you could reach out to twosisterswriting.com, and you can buy them directly from there. That gives her a little bit more incentive.
And it's 39,000 websites. So if you shop at Walmart, you shop at Kmart, you shop on any online places where books are sold, 39,000 websites.
Wow. Does writing for you, okay, you got absorbed, right? And you went crazy. Suddenly, you've told us the story in the past times. You sat in front of the computer you wrote 500 pages when they had to trim it down to 200 or something.
Yep, 500 to 300. Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
And you've told those stories and how that was kind of problematic for you because you wanted to, and then you just feel it, and with your exuberance and what does it take? Does it take purpose, practice, and dedication? Did you read extensively? Do you read other writers? No,
I was not a writer, and I was not a reader. Wow. Carol was the reader, and Carol, was much more of a writer. I think to answer your question is, I'm a storyteller. That's what I do. And so when I wrote all 3 of these books, I am just writing as I speak. There's nothing fancy about it. I just write as I speak.
Wow.
And that's what just flows out of my heart.
So is Elizabeth Ann, is she helping you?
Oh my gosh! And the
down?
editors. Oh, the editors. And it started with Leah Owens here in town and Sally Roy here in town, and then it went from to Elizabeth and Catherine and the team of Two Sisters, and they have an enormous amount of people that work with them that edit, and so. The combination of their editing, not just spell check, but I mean Joanie, this adverb is not in the right spot. And I learned this, a simple thing. Right. Don't write with a lot of LYs. You don't walk slowly. Yeah. You sauntered.
Okay. Gotcha.
So you want to write with description.
Interesting.
So all these tips I learned from Elizabeth's book coaching class. It was 6 or 7 lessons that I took. And it was actually a coaching program, and I could relate to coaching. I'm a formal coach.
Sure.
I want to learn from the expert.
Right.
And so she led me through a coaching class that taught me some basic things that I just incorporated into my book.
Your brain is on fire. And that's a way to, what is that, an idiom? Your brain is on fire. But your brain, you're so excited.
Yes.
It just permeates the room here. I mean,
Thank you.
You're
it's not drugs and it's not caffeine.
There we go.
It's just Joanie.
It's totally cool because when you walk in, everybody smiles.
So I do podcasts with Elizabeth every Friday.
Yes.
We've done them for 1 year, and it's actually how to write a book.
And what is that podcast called?
twosisterswriting.com YouTube.
All right.
How to write a book.
Writing YouTube.
Because I think, as everybody listening right now, you have a story to tell. And I have had people so far in my life, my friends and my family, that have written little stories or part of their life stories, and they don't want to publish a book, but they want to give it to their grandkids.
Sure.
They want to leave it as a legacy. They want to give it to their lover. They want to give it to somebody. They want to just express it. And so everybody out there, you're a writer and you don't know it.
Right.
And when you put it in that written word, it so enlarges your own heart, and it enlarges other people's hearts. And I know you're a music guy.
Yeah,
do you write lyrics?
No, I write lyrics, but I can't write the music to it. But okay. All right. So people, don't you wish that you had your great-great-great-great-grandfathers or great-great-grandmothers book that told about their life? Wouldn't that be fascinating? Because they're forgotten to the annals of history. There's no longer there. They're blotted out. We might see their gravestone one day.
Right.
But what did you know about those lives that because of them you're here?
Exactly.
Right? So
and I don't have any written word from my grandparents.
So
I have a couple letters from my mom. And my dad wrote a little bit about his life in World War II in the U.S. Navy, which was phenomenal. I'm so glad because we kept telling Dad, write that down. We're not going to remember this.
Right.
We're not going to remember this, Dad. Please write that down.
Yeah, my dad did that too. How interesting.
Yeah. Have you done that, Jacques?
I have. You know what? I have. I've written down a lot of my stories.
Cool.
I keep journals like you and Carol did. I keep a book that was just with all these crazy things that have happened to me.
Right. Do you think you'll ever publish?
I think I will one day, but you know what? Here's the drawback. Everybody, during COVID, every party I would go to, well, with masks on, I'd say, hey, what's going on? And they go, I'm writing a book. Everybody was writing their book. So I'm a San Franciscan kind of rebel. Oh, then if you're all writing books, then I'm not going to write a book. All right, let's get back.
Do you know that 10,000 books are published every month around the world?
Wow.
That's
10,
why when I know that
000.
my book, None Better, was number 24 for 4 months in a row.
Wow.
Think about that.
Yeah.
That's 10,000,
Every
10,000 for 4 months. That's 40,000 new books.
Are they
and I still rated number 24. That's like
Americans
a Super Bowl.
the biggest writer? Are we the biggest writers? I bet we are the biggest pool, followed by Europe. And then, okay.
Mm-hmm.
All right. What do you do, or do you ever have writer's block?
Oh, yes.
You do?
Not very often. Not very often. You know, and I got the greatest advice from book coach Elizabeth
All right,
Atkins.
tell us what that
and
is.
she would say, Joanie, walk away from your computer, go outside, or go sit in your prayer corner and just let it be. Don't think about it. Just let it be. So whether that's I'm on the pickleball courts, or I'm picking roses, or I'm mowing the lawn, or I'm sitting quietly in my prayer corner, not thinking about what to write, but just let it be. Remember the old Beatles song, Let It Be?
Let it be. Let it. Yeah, we got a picture of them somewhere walking across the road.
And so you just don't worry about it. You just let it be. And when you find that silence, that real silence in you when you're doing that, you know, and then all of a sudden it'll come back.
Okay. Do you start with a set of ideas you want to write about, and then it weaves its own way into something else? Does it become something separate and different than you started out, intended it to be?
You start with an outline, and the outline, it's like building a deck, or building a birdhouse, or building a house.
That makes sense.
You want to have the game plan. So you have an outline. My outline was based upon stories from Carol and I.
Right.
And I actually did that because I went through a box or boxes of pictures of us. And it reminded me of the javelina. And it reminded me of the clamming and the crabbing and this incident at church and this thing and this thing and that thing. And, you know, so all those stories, it was like, which ones do I want to include in my outline? But it started with pictures. So you come up with a game plan in this outline. And it was the same thing with Joyously Free and Healing Religious Hurts. What are the stories? What are the things that have impacted me that are of value to me, which I am guessing, I just guessed, if they're of value to me, I bet you other people will be able to relate to them. And that's how I write the book. So then I think, who am I writing this to? And that's really important. Who are you going to write it to? Are you writing it to everybody in the world? Or are you writing it to LGBTQ? Or
so know your audience?
Know your audience.
Know your audience.
Just like when you sing a song. You know,
you want
to know the audience so you know what kind of music they like.
Right.
What kind of songs do they like?
Right. No rap.
And so a lot of that is internal, and you have to
rap.
You like rap? I like rap too.
Sometimes
I grew up with rap. And Adalberto Ramirez here locally, oh my gosh, a former student of mine,
wow.
He is a great rapper.
Wow.
He would be great on the radio show here. Adalberto Ramirez.
Okay, I'll reach out to you.
Yeah, and I have his phone number if you want it.
Hey, does travel help you write?
Oh, yes.
I mean, because you're gaining new experiences, right?
Yes. And so the people you meet.
Yeah,
and the places.
you're always adding. So when you go to a book signing, let's say you were in Detroit not too terribly long ago.
8 prides this summer.
Wow.
Yes. Yes.
That in itself is fun, right there. I mean,
2 to go.
Just think of this traveling around the United States. Lucky lady she is, and gets to participate in what? Gay Day parades. These are the best. These are Pride days.
Right.
These are the best times.
And the pre-stuff and the post-stuff that are not Pride.
Parties, I think they're the best parties of all time.
I agree.
All right.
I agree. Give you a knuckle on that one.
So you get to travel. You get to travel around. So you're gaining all these new experiences. And then you go back to the motel. Are you exhausted after you've done these things? Or you're out there promoting the books, but you're also involved with just... People are coming to you telling their stories to you, right?
Exactly.
And you're a beacon of shining hope, so you give them encouragement. Everybody leaves walking away from Joanie Lindenmeyer with a big smile on your face. So you're a very encouraging lady.
Thank you.
So you've got all this stuff garnered from travel. You're going to have to do a book just on your travels.
I've had so many people ask me about that. Would you just do a book on your stories from your travels? It's like, oh my gosh, and maybe I will. I don't know. I'm not there yet. I want to make sure that these 3 books that I have are promoted to the max. That's number 1. But oh yes, and I'm thinking of my most recent one was in Eugene, Oregon, Eugene Pride. And a couple things stood out there. There was a entourage of, I'm going to guess, 40 naysayers, people that were
anti-LGBTQ,
anti-LGBTQ, anti-Pride, And I don't want to say Bible thumpers. People sometimes give them that name because I love the Bible and the written word.
You're a Christian
but it's how
yourself.
you interpret it, how you live it is what makes is important to me. But anyways, and they walked right through Pride. The Eugene police were behind them, and they had their pickets and they had their megaphones, and they were very rude and crude. And we were asked as vendors and people not to participate, not to antagonize them. But at the same time, we're standing up and we are just saying, I'm happy to be here. This is my day. I'm proud to be who I am. And so, but that was something that really, really stuck out. And then I met several people, the Sisters of Indulgence.
Okay, from
which is
San Francisco.
From San Francisco. Yeah. They were there, and I've gotten to know Sister Fanny quite well. And she actually wanted an oil blessing. I carry oil from my Episcopal church for the chrism oil. And so she wanted me to bless her and a medal that she had that day. So that was just something that stood out for me.
Cool.
And then there was another woman who had just transitioned from a man to a woman and was in tears. Her family disowned her church disowned her, and she was trying to find her place. And I probably hugged her for 5 minutes, Jacques. She just sobbed like a baby because she felt so comfortable and safe and precious at that moment with me. And I think with the environment and just the openness of it. But those 3 stories stood out. And then one other story is the night we set up, Kenneth Babb went with me and helped me, and it was like 90-some degrees, and I was just blazing hot, and lo and behold, I'm laying on the grass, I'm exhausted, and so Kenneth takes this picture of me, and it was like, then you have the exhaustion part of it, but then there's the joy part of it. And so I just love Prides. And October 5th is Ashland.
Yeah.
And Palm Springs is November 2nd and 3rd.
Okay, October 5th.
Those are my last 2.
That is a Saturday.
That's a Saturday.
I'm thinking, geez, I wish we should drive over there. That'd be fun. Because Ashland's got a great community, right? I mean, they've got, and they'll do it right.
And I did Medford Pride. Had some great stories from Medford Pride, too.
Wow.
And San Diego Pride was phenomenal.
You've traveled around seeing, San Diego, too. So all these events that you're going to are new stories to be spurned. But right now, you still got to just concentrate on getting this 3 books out that you've already got 2. None Better, spelled N-U-N, right, like a nun. Joyously Free. And then finally, Healing Religious Hurts. It's coming out October 1st and will be available through Two Sisters Writing.com website.
And I love to read excerpts of them too, Josh, when I'm at a book event, so that people can get a flavor for what the writing is all about.
Right.
I'm not just about selling books. Yes, I need to sell books because that's a business part of it. Yeah. But at the same time, I want people to hear a little excerpt or a little story or something. Okay. And have you been to book events before?
I have. I've been.
Have they done readings?
They have. Yeah.
What do you think of that?
Some of them. I like it. I like it when the author gets up and does a short reading, tells about their work. Mainly back in the days when, what was the Barnes & Noble? Remember Barnes & Noble?
Yep.
Where are Barnes & Is there Barnes & Noble
There's one
anymore?
in Medford.
Is there one in Medford?
There's one in Medford.
They still exist.
Yes.
Cool.
And I'll be in North Bend in November at the Little Bay bookstore.
Up in Coos Bay?
Up in Coos Bay.
All right,
it's actually
cool.
North Bend. Yes.
Right. And isn't there, what's the bookstore? Is there a bookstore in Brookings or here? I've heard there.
Forecastle Books in Brookings
right.
has my books on in the store. Okay. Mark has them. Cool. And then locally, Debbie Stover at Del Norte office. In fact, if you're local
Debbie
here,
Stover,
you just run down to Del Norte office, and she has a stack of them. Of None Better and Joyously Free, and she will have Healing Religious Hurts, and she's just a doll to have.
Yeah,
she has a whole section of local authors.
She's a good lady. I like her. She's a big asset to our community.
Yes,
what kind of environment do you like best to write in? Are you get up in the morning and write? Do you write in the afternoon? Do you write in the evenings, or do you write throughout any time of the day?
Wowie. Probably morning is my best, and so when I say morning, that's like from 8:30 to about 11.
Cool.
And then I like to go for my walk and get my exercise in and that kind of outdoor activity, especially in the summertime. And then later on in the afternoon, or I'll wait until the evening. When I wrote None Better, it just flowed out of me. So there were days that I think I wrote probably 8, 9, 10 hours a day. And I even had my neighbors come check on me. Your car hasn't moved. Have you eaten? They were so sweet about it. But you have to sort of follow your heart when you write.
Yeah.
Have
you checked into much of what AI is doing now? AI is so prevalent.
Yes.
And it's for many of us it's scary. For other people it's like, hey, the horse and buggy faded to the car.
Right.
AI is the car. It's the airplane. It's the newest way of movement in our society. But with AI being able to write so human-like, I've found it's hard to discern from human, because they the AI is mastering this emotional range of things that writing touches upon so many of us.
Right.
Have you?
And to me, it's not authentic.
Okay,
you know,
but,
and that's just coming from my perspective. I think the word author, 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 authority, authentic, all those words go together.
Yeah, that's
and
good analogy.
And not that I disagree with AI, but that's not my style. I want to be absolutely true to me.
Yeah.
And write what's in me, because that's the expression and that's what comes through.
I've heard some chilling stories, and we're not going to go down this path, but about there are multiple national bestsellers.
Yes.
That are AI written, basically, the entire thing.
Yes. Well, and I know we Elizabeth and I actually began our Joyously Free cover. We started with looking at some AI examples.
Yes.
And then from there, we developed our own covers along with Deborah, our artist, and my sister Gail.
Use it as a tool in your toolbox, I suppose. It's cool.
Yes.
Looking at some of the business side of being a writer, you said did you originally just go to Two Sisters? Did you originally just go on Amazon? Amazon has a platform for all writers, right? But wait, you said 55%? If you get on Amazon, they publish your book, and you do the I hear it's a little bit more difficult to get published on Amazon, because they won't just publish anything. In the past,
they have their criteria.
A lot of grammatically horrible grammar or whatever.
Right, and I'm a nobody. Again, I'm not an Obama, or I'm not a Oprah Winfrey, or I'm not a superstar athlete. I'm a nobody in the entertainment and the big world scene. And so that makes a difference, too, based upon who you are.
They are getting 55%. Okay.
Right.
Oh, you know what?
Right.
When I get that.
So Two Sisters Writing is a hybrid.
Yeah.
And so they do it's a combination of self-publishing as well as an agent. So you're working with both on that.
Cool.
So they make a small percentage from the books that I sell or are sold.
Right on.
And they use Ingram Sparks, which means books on demand. So I don't have to have a warehouse of books. I don't have to store them at a place because they're online. If I choose to put a book somewhere in a store, that ranges from a 70-30 split to a 60-40 split, based upon the people within that bookstore or that environment.
With the bookstore getting 60%? And you getting 40?
60% for me,
right.
40%, which is still would be better than the 55% from Amazon.
Right. What's your advice to aspiring? We got 8 minutes left.
Okay.
I can't believe we've already gone through this 52 minutes. What advice do you have for aspiring writers? Just get out there. We touched about it a little earlier. Just get out there, write with your heart.
Right.
See how it goes. Bounce it off some friends, family.
And there's pros and cons of bouncing it off friends and family, because they may be jealous. They may be not your best encouragers.
Yeah.
You have to really watch who and what you do with that.
Yeah, you're right.
I would recommend that you write. I would recommend that you make sure you save it. If you're doing it on a computer or laptop, make sure you have it saved. And then decide from there in your heart of hearts what you want to do with it. Do you want to publish it? What do you want to do with your manuscript? What do you want to do with that? And then if you want to go the self-publishing and start to learn about self-publishing, learn about having an agent, and then learn about the hybrids.
Right.
And
the best manner to do that, can you contact the Two Sisters Writing and say, hey, I'm just floating an idea. Do they charge for that?
No, Elizabeth will do a 20-minute max Zoom, just bouncing things off with some advice.
Okay. Cool.
And that's no charge, which I think is phenomenal that she's willing to do that.
Yeah,
and again, you just go into twosisterswriting.com, click on the book coaching or whatever it is. She has many links in there.
Right.
And just tell them, hey, you heard Joanie on the radio, or Joanie, or and that just gives them a little input. It gives her an idea of where they're coming from.
They're located in Michigan?
Elizabeth is in Detroit. Metro Detroit is what they call it. Yeah. And then her sister Catherine lives in Ashland, Oregon. That's the connection there. Right. Those are great questions. Those are really good questions.
I mean, again, for those people that are aspiring, they're thinking about it. At the same time, I'm not going to be Debbie Downer here and say there's a lot of bad writing. But some self-published books, at least I've come across, are like horrendous. They weren't edited, right? Or I
Correct.
guess they were just pumped out there by some platform that said, we'll just, for so much money, we'll publish your book.
Right.
So those you got to kind of watch out for. But again, it's all in the spirit. Or I had a conversation with a guy one time. I said, what are you doing? He said, writing a book. I said, great. What is it about? I was an accountant for 50 years. Great. What did you do? What's the book about? Accounting for 50 years. Where did you live? Outside of Boston? Okay. Where'd you travel? Oh, I just stayed there for 50 years. I kept wondering, what are we getting to? I got an English major, not a math number, so that didn't turn me on there at all about accounting.
Yeah.
But I just kept wondering, and I thought, oh my goodness.
What's the point of this book?
What's the point of this book? Okay.
And that's why I come back to my 3 C's. Courage, confidence, and collaboration. Those are the points of my books.
Yeah.
I want to instill courage and instill confidence and collaboration. And you can do it because when you write a book, you're the quarterback. You're the driver.
True.
You are the person.
Yeah.
You're in charge.
You're hearing it from not just a savvy and incredibly vibrant woman. You're hearing this from Joanie Lindenmeyer, who has successfully written 2 books, and a third one is coming out, which is Healing Religious Hurts, which when it comes out, we got to have you on again because I want to talk about this.
Okay.
This is a whole show in itself.
It probably is.
Healing Religious Hurts is going to be the stories, right, about these people that have happened. Hi, Amanda. Amanda, doctor's is in the studio. All right. She's got Squirrel Interrupted coming up in about 5 minutes. But let's go. Where do you see yourself in 2 to 5 years? Still on the trail, marketing, writing more books?
Absolutely. And I've heard a little bit of some audiobook is coming on.
Audiobook
is coming on for None Better. And I will be doing the reading myself.
Wow.
And so I've got a couple links of people that I will be, the studios where I'll be doing that. And that's the biggest thing. I want to have an audiobook for None Better. Cool. I will continue podcasts with Elizabeth, which are hilarious. I love that part. Right. And I think that we might be thinking about like a journal reflection workbook kind of thing with reflective questions that people can ask themselves on their journey to find love and peace, on their journey to find who they are.
Right.
So some kind of, and I guess that's the teaching part in all of us.
Let's be blunt about it. Religion has hurt a lot of people in many ways. It's helped also, of course.
Absolutely.
But a lot of people. And healing those religious hurts is a unique story in itself. And to hear from various people, I think it's a fascinating idea for a book. Your own history, your own the original None Better about you and Carol, great. But this one takes it, I think, to a larger audience, I'd say, right? Because then people can equate with it. Whoa, that's me they're talking about, right? Are most of the people LGBTQ in the book on religious hurts? No?
Probably half and half.
Yeah.
Half and half. And it's not just religion because it's spirituality.
Yeah.
And when you understand the difference between religion and spirituality, that opens up a whole new realm for a person.
And that's a whole nother talk show.
Absolutely. Yeah. Absolutely. Well, and maybe you want to even do a talk show from Wild River Pizza.
That might be fun too.
Wouldn't that be cool? Or a recording or something?
You know
Who
what
knows?
we should do? We should have Redwood Voice run up there and do a little show like Sebastian was doing.
That'd be great.
Where do you see yourself? So you're going to be doing this? You want to be
audiobook?
Stand on the same. That's your big thing.
This is.
What's your tombstone going to say, Joanie? Do you have an idea?
Probably sort of like my tattoo. Love always wins, or God is love.
All right.
How's that? I guess those are my 2 big themes.
Right on.
And whether you don't believe in a God, then put in higher power or put in somebody else's name that brings joy to you.
All right. You can reach out to Joanie Lindemann by calling her. She's put her phone number out there for everybody. Text her first, 541-661-1755. You can reach out to her by going to twosisterswriting.com, which is spelled TWO, twosisterswriting.com, and go to the author page. If you want to order a book particularly, order it through them. She's also got the event coming up at Wild Rivers Pizza on Tuesday, October 1st from 4 to 6 in Harbor, Oregon, or Brookings. And finally, she's got another one, the Pascal Winery. Sounds like a lot of fun. And Talent in Talent right at the border with Ashland and Talent. That is 5 to 7 on Thursday, October 3rd at the Pascal Winery.
Yep.
All right. We are almost out of it. Joanie, thank you for coming on my show.
Thank you, Jacques.
You are always a breath of fresh air.
Thank you. And so are you. And so are you. And another shout out to all the people that have written and been a part of these books with me. My heart is so filled with gratitude.
Right on.
And I know you're the kind of person too.
Thank you.
You're always filled with gratitude.
Thank you.
So thank you to you. Thank you to Gigi. Thank you to K-Fug for making this happen.
True.